Hi everyone, a very good morning to all of you. First of all, thank you for joining this session. My name is Shubham Gupta and I represent Altum Technologies for 3D printing department. First of all, basically before getting into our presentation, which is all about anatomical 3D printing and what are the like advancements which has been happened recently in the field of healthcare with respective to 3D printing, I would like to discuss the agenda for this session. So basically, the session is for 30 to 40 minutes where I'll showcase the various different applications in which how healthcare institutions, medical devices companies, as well as hospitals, how they are using this 3D printing technology to make better patient care. So before getting into our presentation, I'll just brief you about Altum Technologies. Altum is a 3D innovation platform company established in 2011. We have multiple products in our portfolio with respective to hardware as well as software solutions. So we tied up with Stratasys, who is the global leader in 3D printing domain. So in 2011 and couple of multiple other products we have added in our portfolio, which is like a 3D scanner from Artec 3D. Uh, CAD solutions from a company called Dassault System. We have some analysis solution from a MSC software, as well as we have partners with bioprinting life sciences solution from Cellink Bio 3D printer, as well as with the Dassault product called BioVia. So in Altum, we have a complete chain of product development solution from 3D design to rapid prototyping to reverse engineering, as well as we have multiple healthcare solutions in terms of software as well as hardware solutions. So our today's discussion is all about that how Stratasys 3D printing solutions has been used in various multiple organizations, be it academic private college or government institute, be it a hospital or be it a medical device company, how they are using all these technologies for research and development in that same scope of line. So if you talk about first of all, what is the need of digital healthcare? Why all these organizations are being using 3D printing these days for better point of care? There are many healthcare institutes or colleges in India where there is a scarcity of human anatomy. Like what that mean is there are many colleges where there is a challenge to get the human cadavers to teach the anatomies of the human body to the various UGPG students. Or if they have the cadavers, there are multiple other challenges of storage of that particular cadaver, as well as there are some ethical concerns which are there of using those cadavers. So considering all these challenges, 3D printing is playing a very important role in a cadaver replacement. What that mean is with the help of 3D printer, you can print any human anatomy, maybe like a soft tissue like a brain, a hard tissue like a skull, or maybe a combination of soft and hard tissue like our spine anatomy, right? So everything could be possible with 3D printing, as well as you can achieve all those biomechanical properties as per our human anatomy, so that you are getting an accurate feedback when you are working on that particular 3D printed model. This is how the 3D printing is getting advanced these days, and it can definitely replace the actual human cadaver which is going to be used for a teaching purposes. Of course, cadavers is the best way to learn the human anatomy, but due to the scarcity of those, anatomical 3D printing has emerged as an alternative solution to train the students in academic institutes. So many private as well as government institutes, what they are doing, they are printing live on demand anatomical models. When they need a kidney, they are printing that kidney model. Whenever they need a brain or a skull model, they are printing that and giving it to their students so that they can learn as well as understand the different level of the complexity in the human anatomy, different parts of the human anatomy. And even because of all those real biomechanical properties, they are getting the true feedback and the feel of using that particular human anatomical model. So this is the one use case of how academic institutions are using 3D printing for cadaver replacement. Second use case, if I talk about in hospitals specifically, is the surgical preparation. So in hospitals, usually surgeon do many different kind of surgeries, right? So medical error is one common thing, and it has like a high potential to harm patients if there is anything wrong while doing that particular surgery. So medical error could be anything. It could be maybe a problem in the equipment usage, or maybe the performance of the procedure, or it could be a system failure. Or sometime what happen, maybe a new surgeon who was not sure or unsure about the complexity of the surgery. Later on, while doing the surgery, he or she has to get an idea, okay, this is going to be a more complex. So to avoid all these circumstances of medical error, what hospitals or what surgeons are doing, they are prefabricating the human anatomical model, the actual condition of the patient, as a surgical like a simulator. So then they are performing all those surgeries on those 3D printed models. How come? Because all those 3D printed models giving you the actual biomechanical properties which I was talking about, which you can get it from our human anatomy, right? So those 3D printed models are giving you those true feedback of working or doing all those medical practices on the 3D printed models. So what surgeons are doing, they are pre-practicing or pre-simulating the actual scenario of the OT before doing the surgery on the actual human body, right? And they are well known and advanced. They get to know, okay, this much steps, there are so many steps which is involved in the surgery, and by this tool or by this approach they can do it a better way. So these advancement in technology, moving this 3D printing in patient specific care applications, and many hospitals as well as even here also academic institutions are developing surgical skills laboratories in hospitals as well as colleges to train their staff as well as surgeons for all these to avoid all these medical errors. So this could be the second application where like you can simulate all those scenarios of the surgery prior to the operation, and you can get the actual feedback from those 3D printed models that how complex the surgery is and what could be the best approach. So so far we have seen two major applications. One was a cadaver replacement in terms of understanding the anatomy. Second application was the pre-planning of this of the surgical simulation, which you can done with the help of 3D printed models. Third application specifically to the medical devices company. So in India, still almost 80% of the medical devices are being imported at present in India, and this makes a huge cost. There is a cost involved for importing all those medical devices. So what medical devices companies are doing, they are self-developing all those devices in India by doing the research and development depending upon the different type of surgeries are there. So they are developing patient specific even medical devices. So now what is the possibilities with the help of 3D printing? What they are doing, they are doing the research and development. They are developing the prototypes of their medical devices so that they can in-house develop all those things and can distribute into the Indian market. That is one thing. Second thing is, when they are developing their devices, again they need a cadaver model so that they can test whatever device they have developed, whether it is up to the mark or it can actually fulfill the requirement of the surgeon, right? So they need cadavers. So with 3D printing, what they can do, they can even print those cadavers as per the requirement, and because of those biomechanical properties, they can test their developed medical devices on the 3D printed model. So there are two possibilities which medical devices companies are being used with the help of 3D printed models. So first is the research and development, the prototype of their devices. Second thing is the for testing those devices, they can develop the anatomical models as well with the help of 3D technology. So these are the three major advantages where academic institutions, hospitals, as well as a medical device company using this particular 3D printing technology in the healthcare industry to make better patient point of care. So our objective is as we have discussed so far, with the help of 3D printer, what you can do, you can print an anatomical 3D printed model which acts as a cadaver replacement, right? And it can be used for educational model for UGPG students, for a surgeon to understand the complexity of the anatomy, as well as it can act as a functional model where maybe a surgeon can do the surgery prior pre-surgical planning on those 3D models, as well as a medical device company can test their medical devices on the 3D printed model. So this is the whole objective which you can fulfill with the help of 3D printer in the healthcare industry. Coming to the technology overview, we have seen the use cases like what could be the possible applications in three different areas, in academics, in hospitals, and in a medical device company. So what is the technology behind of getting these 3D printed models? How those 3D printed models can give you these biomechanical properties of the human anatomy? So we are going to discuss that. So the technology behind this particular 3D printing is the Stratasys PolyJet 3D printing technology. PolyJet is a unique technology where, if you see this video, there are multiple printed in the machine which jet like a liquid resin, and with the help of UV light, it is getting cured layer by layer, and ultimately you are getting a physical model out of it. So this is a general technology of 3D, one of the 3D printing which comes in under the category of resin-based multi-jet 3D printing technology. So definitely, this is one of the unique technology, I would say, in 3D printing. Apart from that, the materials itself are very unique. So there are some soft materials, there are some rigid materials, which automatically based on the user selection. Like maybe if you consider this model, if a user will select this is my skin, it should be soft, and even it can define the level of softness in that particular model. And likewise, a skull is a hard, you can set the density of that particular skull. Spine is a combination of both hard and soft tissue, so even you can define that in a machine. Then depending upon the user selection, machine the software automatically slice those models and define as per the definition of the properties which you have assigned. Machine will get a soft material, machine will get a hard material depending upon the design requirement, as well as machine can combine both materials and give you the combined physical model, something like this, which can help you again to, like, if a doctor is using, a surgeon is using these models, so reduce it can reduce surgical time, surgical cost, as well as improve all those clinical outcomes with the help of pre-planning surgery. So you can better understand with this particular video. So let's say this is one of the 3D printed model which we have printed from our medical 3D printed machine. So if you see over here, this is a one single shot 3D print where you can see a brain is a soft tissue, like something like this. It has been printed with a combination of a skull, which is a hard tissue, as well as nerves. So this is a very good representation of a human anatomy. If somebody has to understand the different parts in that anatomical model and the complexity of the human anatomy. Considering as a functional model, so this is also a 3D printed model, if you'll see. So the skin is a soft over here, and someone can do all those medical practitioners on this 3D printed models. We can see the switching activity has been performed. Injection practicing is being done on this 3D printed model, so that you have a prior experience of handling those medical equipments for a better patient care. So while doing this, it is as soft as our human skin. So that is the reason you will get all those biomechanical properties which I was explaining earlier. While performing those actions, you could able to better understand, better feel that yes, you are doing something on an actual model, actual cadaver. Something like this is the idea behind medical healthcare 3D printing. So what is the workflow, how you can able to get that particular 3D printed model? The first and foremost step is the medical scan. Medical scan, I mean to say, is like a CT MRI data. So DICOM data, specifically from CT MRI machines. So from a CT MRI, whatever data you will get is that in the form of digital images called DICOM, right? So it is like a multiple images in a 2D format. Then there will be a software which basically take input of all those DICOM images, and with the help of certain tools it will convert that DICOM into a 3D design model, something like this. So if you have a DICOM in the form of 2D images, that software will help you to convert all those images into a 3D model. So now you have a 3D design data which you will input into a 3D printer like this, and then you can select the multiple different parameters like which part should be soft, which part should be hard, which part is a combination of both, and even maybe a different colors combinations, and ultimately you will get a one physical model from a 3D printer which has all those possibilities of soft and hard tissues. So this is a general workflow which I would say. From a medical scan, DICOM images, a software, a 3D data preparation software which will convert DICOM to 3D design files, and ultimately you will get a physical model out of the machine. So technology, you have seen that polyjet is the unique technology which mixes all those materials, and ultimately you are getting a part. So apart from that particular technology, our materials are also very unique, which comes under Stratasys medical portfolio. So the material like tissue matrix material, the material like bone, material like gel, as well as a material like a radio opaque. So each and every material has its own unique, I would say, application. Like a tissue can be used to simulate the soft tissues in our body, like a skin. A bone material to simulate all those bony parts. Gel matrix can be used to simulate those blood vessels because it's very soft. And radiometrics material can be used to print a part which having that radio opaque properties. What that mean is, if you will print a part and with the radiometrics, and you are putting it into a CT machine, X-ray machine, you will able to get those again DICOM data from that CT machines with the help of 3D printed model. So how it will helpful, maybe a medical device company who are developing those CT X-ray machines, right? To test those machines, they can use these 3D printed models. Even a hospital, or maybe a private college or academic institute, if they have bought CT X-ray machines for their students to get train on those CT machines, they can use these 3D printed models, print it in radio opaque material, put it into the CT machines, and students can get trained with the help of these physical models. So I have a couple of videos. This video you have already seen the representation of tissue matrix material. Specifically, if you see over here, this is a bone material. So if you see, all those drilling actions is being performed on this 3D printed bone over here in the second video. So the material has been defined in such a way, it is not a brittle. Like if you do a drilling action, it is not getting broken very easily. So a bulk kind of material is being coming out while doing that particular action. So again, it's a medical device which has been tested on that particular 3D printed bone. So something like this. So you are getting the actual biomechanical feedback from that particular 3D printed model when you are performing certain actions with the help of actual devices. So something like this. This is a 3D printed bone from Stratasys medical material. Likewise, if you see over here, so this is a gel matrix material which has been used to 3D print the uh, blood vessels to simulate all those blood flows, blood clots. You can use this material specifically. And this is a radio opaque material, which I mean to say. So the left hand side is a radio opaque material, right hand side is a normal 3D printed model. So you can see, if you put it into the CT X-ray machine, you can actually see the inside structure of our the anatomy from the 3D printed model. So this is the idea behind radiometrics material. So because of uniqueness of all these materials, you can able to get a medical 3D printed part from the machine which behaves like a similar feedback of relatable to the biomechanical properties. You will get it from the 3D printed part. So applications overview is application overview is, as I said, on demand anatomical printing. There is no need to print and store. So whenever you need a special 3D printed model, you can print it overnight and can use it for your particular requirement. You can use it for skilling models and training simulators, where you can basically create that environment of that particular OT, and you can do all those pre-planning surgical with the help of multicolor multi-material. 3D printed parts. Even you can do the practical dissection of human anatomy, as we have seen. Even I have more couple of videos which you can where you can get a better idea of the possibility with 3D printing. Likewise, various conditions of human anatomy, something like this, you can even simulate from those DICOM images, convert into a 3D model, and ultimately you will get a physical part out of the machine. So this is one such applications. So that was the second uniqueness. First uniqueness was our technology. Second uniqueness was the material. Third uniqueness is the software. Software slicing software is also well advanced in medical 3D printing. So what that mean is, if you see, this is a very short video. So where you are defining the anatomical family in the slicing software. So the software is not considering this heart model as a normal design file. You are telling to the software that this is the heart, and the element is sub element is myocardium. Relatively, you are defining the stiffness. So what that mean is, likewise, you have many different anatomy families available in the software as a preset. So if you're printing a blood vessel, you can select a blood vessel, then you can get subcategory into the type of particular requirement, you can define it. Likewise, general anatomy, heart, maybe a bone, again you will get certain parameters into the software. Then what software will do, software will slice it according to your own requirement, the type of anatomy you have basically selected, and accordingly software will mix all those materials and give you one particular part which will actually behave as per our actual human anatomy, which will similarly simulate all those parameters as per our human anatomy. So this is one such uniqueness in our software. So what that mean is, now let's say you have designed a 3D bone, something like this, as a left side image. Once you have loaded into our medical software, 3D printing software, so you can select, okay, this is my bone, what kind of bone. Software will ask, it's a long bone, femur, tibia, all those uh, types the software will ask you, and accordingly software will slice your bone, something like this. So if you see, it has some like a soft material inside over here, and the boundary is something like a rigid material. So so software will automatically slice it into a combination of different slices according to the type of bone which you have selected, and the material will get mixed automatically, and ultimately the part which you are getting from the machine is a combination of different materials. So you not need to select, okay, how much density you have to define. You just have to define the type of bone which you are going to print. So accordingly software will categorize it for you. So now what that mean is, with the help of PolyJet medical 3D printing, you can print any human anatomy with the help of this particular technology. Be it a neurosurgery department, you can print parts relatable to neurosurgery. Be it a cardio, you can print soft heart tissues. Be it a urology department, you can print the kidneys, tumors all together in multiple colors, as well as multiple soft and hard tissue. So like this way, you can print any human anatomy with the help of Stratasys 3D printing. Coming to certain examples, that how different organizations, as I said, like academic institutions, hospitals, as well as medical devices companies, are using this particular technology. So I have clubbed certain examples in India as well as globally, how they are using this particular technology. So this is one such thing. If you see over here, so this is a 3D printed human anatomical hand with all those sub elements, skin tissue, a bone, even a fatty tissue, something like this. So you can see over here. So this is a good representation in academia. If somebody has to show it to the students, the different kind of anatomies are there in our hand, the complexity level of human anatomy. So this could be a very good example to showcase, to understand the kind of possibility. So again, this is a soft tissue. If you see, soft and hard tissue, I would say, in a multiple of combinations of different materials. So this is one such representation of the possibility of our like technology in medical 3D printing. Likewise, if this is like a surgical planning in a hospital, if somebody has to do a kidney transplant, so this particular kidney along with tumor is a 3D printed. So if you see, over here, all those real medical equipment devices are being used to perform this action. This model can also be used for a medical device company who are developing those devices, so they can test their devices on this 3D on these 3D printed models. So something like this, if you see. So all those switching actions has been performed on the 3D printed model, so that you'll get a real feedback of working with the medical device, how to handle that device, how to hold, which angle is good. So all those things you can prejudge before going into an OT. So this is one such example of how hospitals are using this. Again, this is an example from a cardio department, but specifically from a medical device company, if I have to say. uh, so how they are doing, again, for a heart model, what actions they can perform with the help of certain medical devices and a 3D printed model. So this is an educational purpose. You can use this to understand the anatomical behavior. You can use it for pre-surgical planning, as well as you can use for device testing. So all those three activities could be done with the help of this 3D model, something like this. So you can better understand, you have a physical model which is actually mimicking all those level of softness and hardness. So you have a better feel, you have a better idea of how to uh, hold all those devices, and how to basically done that particular surgery very well. So this is one such example. Likewise, a blood vessel example over here. So you can print a smaller blood vessel of 0.5 mm thickness with a 0.5 mm radius is feasible to print with the help of Stratasys 3D printing solution. So if you see over here, so hand-eye coordination is very required. So they are doing that surgery, surgical practices on that 3D printed model with certain devices, and they are getting an idea of how to hold all devices, and basically do that particular surgery. So surgical simulation is the best way, I would say, if somebody has to understand the best applications of this 3D printed model. So something like this, right? So even if you see over here in this particular
Pilots
video,
also train for extreme conditions, and they don't do it with a real plane and with real passengers. The same thing we should be doing in surgery. We should be training for extreme conditions. We should be training for our surgery ahead of time. The way this is done is with cadavers, and cadavers are brought from faraway places, and you don't always get exactly what you want to get with regard to the age of the patients and how the bone is. We can actually simulate exactly what we're going for. So we can design the models, and they can be printed to simulate specific
so this is a 3D
pathologies
printed
in
model.
specific age groups with specific types of bones. It started off with the basic building blocks of simulating the real feel of cortical bone, and what the medullary canal feels like, and what cancellous bone feels like. And from that developed into simulating long bones, for example, the femur bone, and other bones such as the vertebra. Once these basic building blocks were designed and simulated, then we can put these parts together, for example, in the lumbar
This is a
spine, in
phantom
order to
model, I would say.
simulate that whole look and feel of spine procedures, for example. So surgery is something that's very visceral. It's a feel. I know what it feels like when it's realistic. It's not just about the way things look, it's how they sound in surgery and the correct tactile response when I'm using the surgical tools. When working with these new models, you get that very familiar feeling in surgery that I haven't had before in surgical training with different surgical models. And this is a brand new experience. I think surgeons will relate to this in that sense, because it will feel like home for them. It feels like surgery that they're used to doing.
So that is what, I mean to say, with the help of all those 3D printed models, because you are getting the biomechanical properties from those physical models. So you will get the actual feel of when you are working on those particular models with the certain medical devices. So these are our Indian case studies how in India 3D printing is being used in the healthcare. So this is one such use case for a partial nephrectomy. So what surgeons have done, they have taken a certain 13 patients with all and those DICOM images they have converted into a 3D model. So this is the actual tumor. This is a 3D printed model with the tumor. So the actual end result was that the tumor size location was actually precise as per the actual condition of the patient. And out of 13 there are 3 cases which were very complex, and with the help of 3D printing they can able to better understand the complexity, and even they have changed the approach of doing that particular surgery, and the result was satisfactory. So this was the conclusion from this report. It is published on the internet. So something like this, a multicolor, multi-material part you can 3D print, which you can easily judge. Okay, like in a multicolor, you can see this is a tumor, and by this way you have to dissect that particular tumor from the healthy tissue, so that you can save as much as healthy tissue is possible. So this is one such use case over there. For a neurology department, if I would have to showcase, this is basically for a neuroendoscopy procedure. They've created a physical model, a phantom model of this, and nose is as a replaceable part. So for multiple surgeons, they can print. You can print multiple these kind of models and give each one to each surgeon to do the practicing application. So something like this. So this is a 3D printed model inside. If you will put a device like an endoscope and a camera, so you will see over here the kind of multiple anatomies has been printed in various different materials in terms of color as well as the level of softness and hardness. So something like this. So basically the idea is again to make a good hand-eye coordination to understand the usage of that particular device as well as the holding of that particular device while doing the or while performing certain actions. So something like this. So this is a 3D printed model with all those different sub anatomies has been printed in multiple colors and multiple level of softness. So this is one such possibility. This is an example from a private hospital that how they are using 3D printing technology. So again, this is a special use case of scoliosis. It is again published on internet. So the idea is basically there was a patient having a scoliosis spine, something like this, with a deflection of curvature of 130 degrees. So they have to perform the surgical operation on for treating this particular defect. So it has been performed in two different surgeries. So for doing that surgery, they have to insert a screws at a precise location so that they can do that particular surgery. So for that, what they have done, first of all, they have printed this fine model, something like this, from the actual patient data of DICOM and DICOM images. So this 3D model helped them to understand the type of the level of complexity in the particular spine. They have showcased it to the patient as well as family members to make them confident that they are in well hands and they can do the surgery very well. Apart from that, they have even done the pre-planning in the design software. They have designed the jigs where at which like they can use during the OT, because it was printed in a biocompatible material. So they have put it into the 3D printed spine, as well as they have designed in such a way so that screw can be easily placed at the precise location and angle, something like this. So this is a 3D printed jig has been used in an OT, which was printed in a biocompatible material, and it was sterilizable for clinical application. So this is one such possible use case. Likewise, maybe if I would give an example of an academic institute, like you can see it's a layer by layer 3D printing, something like this. So they have printed a complete skull model with all those combination of soft and hard tissue. So something like this has been printed layer by layer. So the idea behind is to again like a cadaver replacement similar to that, so that students can see the complexity of the anatomy, can understand the different type of anatomies which are there in our human head and neck model. So something like this was the idea. So if you see over here, The skin is a soft tissue, multiple layers of skin, skull is altogether a hard tissue, something like this has been printed. This is again one such model, the section of our elbow. So you can see bones, the joints, skin, all together has been printed to understand the complexity as well as to get an idea of the human anatomical structure. So likewise, you can completely print a full-scale model of a complete human cadaver as per your own requirements, maybe in multiple sections, and join them and then give it to the students to understand the possibilities in our human anatomy. So something like this uses of 3D printed model in a teaching of anatomy. That's it. Like outcomes on 3D printing, if we have whatever we have discussed is like the idea behind was to replace or like for the cadavers to get the understanding of the anatomy for teaching purposes, training and educational models, training simulators in again academia as well as hospitals where you can pre-plan the surgery basis on the condition of the actual patient, as well as research and development for medical devices company where they can develop the prototypes of their medical devices, and they can test all those medical devices with the 3D printed anatomical model. So these were the outcomes from 3D printing in specific to the healthcare industry. uh, that's it. If have you have any questions, you can ask to us, and we will definitely help you to solve your queries. And I would like to thank to everyone who has joined and stayed with us for this whole session on medical 3D printing. Thank you.
Shubham,
Yes.
Shubham, there is one question.
Okay.
They want to know what are the tools used for 3D printing in healthcare.
Okay, so tools, as I said, like if we have to consider the workflow of medical 3D printing, so the first and foremost requirement is the design file, right? So design file, you can taken it from the DICOM data. DICOM data comes from a CT MRI machine. So let's say someone having maybe in a hospital or academic institutions, they are having a CT MRI machines, so they can get the patient data of any human anatomy from those machines in the form of DICOM images, so called the digital 2D images. So that DICOM images can be converted into a 3D design file with the help of certain tools. There are many freeware, even paid softwares are available in a market, specifically to medical segmentation softwares, I would say. So what those softwares will do, they will take input of those DICOM images. Then there are certain automatic AI based tools which can help you to convert those DICOM images into a 3D model. So once you get that 3D model, then the end requirement is a 3D printer which will take input of those 3D models, and basis on your user settings or the type of requirement, you can able to get the 3D model. So tools, if I have to say, is the DICOM images. Second thing is a segmentation software, and the third thing is a 3D printer which you can get it from. Ultimately, you can able to get the model out of it. Even there is a possibility. Let's say you want to do a facial reconstruction. Maybe ear you have to replace, right? Something like that. Then how you will get that data? Maybe a nose reconstruction, maybe an eye reconstruction. So with the help of a 3D scanner, which I was talking, like an Artec 3D facial 3D scanner, you can scan the maybe let's say you have to replace the right ear, you can scan the healthy left ear and then mirror it in a software, and you can able to get the design of the right ear. And further, you can print a mold of it and can fabricate that synthetic ear, and you can use it for various applications. So something like that. I hope it is clarified. Any other questions?
Hello.
Yes.
Shubham, there are a few more questions. So one question is from Dr. Narayanan J. He's asked how to create stiffness gradient while printing the 3D model.
Okay, so like in our software, in a slicer software, we have an option. Once you define the type of human anatomy, so software will ask you the subcategory. Once category you have defined, then software will ask you the type of stiffness, like maybe a rigid, maybe a semi-rigid, or maybe a soft. So there is a scale of stiffness available in our software, and once you define that, then software will slice your model, mix all those materials, and ultimately you will get the end result from the machine. So that is the possibility in our slicing software, which is comes with our Stratasys 3D printer.
Hello.
Yes.
The next question is from Kuppuswamy Parashuraman. His question is, do your software allow for the selection of materials and size?
Yes, so our software, like again in a software, you will see two subcategory. One is like a general category, which allows you to select the material. Let's say you want to print only a rigid material, you can directly select a category as a general, and software will allow you, okay, these many materials are available in the machine, which material you want to select for this particular model. Second possibility is when you are looking for a biomechanical properties, then you not need to bother of the material selection. What you have to do is you have to tell the type of anatomy which is you are going to print, right? So then, so you have in the software you will select that it is a anatomical model. Then software will ask you, okay, if it is an anatomical model, what type of anatomy it is, and accordingly you can define the anatomy. Then software is that much advanced that it can automatically slice your software, mix, select those materials, mix all together, and can give you a physical part. So there are two options depending upon the requirement.
The next question is from Danish Mens. He says, which will such similar instruments be used to print live cells?
uh, uh, I think the question is like, can it be replace the actual human anatomy? If I'm not wrong, so if that is the question, so the answer is no. You cannot print the part and put it into the human anatomy. The idea behind is to understand the human anatomical behavior. So, like anatomical, I would say training models, surgical simulation models, and devices you can print. There are certain materials which are biocompatible and even can be sterilizable. So those 3D models which has been printed from that particular materials can be used for surgical operations or clinical activities while doing the surgery. So they can act as a tool but cannot be put it into the human body for a permanent applications or uses. So that could not be possible.
Okay, the next question is from uh, Tirumurugan. How skin colors are reproduced using 3D printable materials? Is there any tool now to match perfectly?
Okay, so basically, our machines can input up to seven different materials at a time. So, let's say if you want to print a certain part with actual tones of those colors, what you can do, you can put seven materials like cyan, magenta, yellow, black, and white, five materials, including some soft material as well as transparent. So, then once you put all those color materials, so the concept is similar to the 2D paper printing, right? We used to work in those 2D paper printers in our offices. So it also comes in with an ink cartridge of cyan, magenta, yellow. So once you do that in a software, you will get a Pantone shade. Our machines are Pantone certified. So you can select what kind of Pantone shade you are going to print. Maybe like you can give an input in an RGB form, maybe in a CMYK format, or maybe direct Pantone library you can select it, and machine will give you the actual skin tone, or maybe any color from those color palettes which are available in the market for as a color selection. So it's like works as a Photoshop then. So you can select, you can put your hex code, RGB code, and select whatever color you want to print from the machine. So that is feasible.
Okay, the next question is from Dr. Tirtha Raj Singh. His question is it possible to get a brain model representing Alzheimer disease conditions?
Okay. Yes, if you have that DICOM images of that actual patient condition, so you can convert those DICOM images into multiple sub elements. Maybe one could be the brain, one could be the sub element which your area of interest is, and then our software will print both different anatomies at once in a single shot with all those different properties. Brain is a soft, maybe the your area of interest, you can define your level of softness, stiffness, hardness, you can define, and you can able to 3D print that particular model. So it is possible.
So the next question is from Maria. The question is, could you please name a few materials used for printing 3D models using DAP for simulating soft and hard tissue?
Okay, so as I have shown in the slides that there are four unique materials. One is the bone matrix material to simulate the bone properties. One was a tissue material to simulate the skin soft tissues. One was a gel material to simulate the blood vessel flow simulations kind of thing. And one was a radiometrics material which can simulate the radio opaque properties. So these are the four unique materials which works in a combination of other materials which is already available in our Stratasys portfolio. One is like an edgeless material for a soft 3D printing. So that tissue material combines with an edgeless to give you a soft part. Similarly, bone material combines with a white material which is available in our portfolio to give you a bony structure, which actually like comes in a white color as well as accurately biomechanically it will be as similar to our actual human bone. So there are certain materials. We have almost 20-25 materials in our portfolio. So after this session, we will share the details whosoever has registered with the slides as well as the type of materials available in our portfolio.
Okay, so the next question is there any software for design prosthetics?
There are softwares, yes. There are softwares. We also have certain softwares which can help prosthetics. The idea behind this, the workflow will be like with the help of 3D scanner. First of all, you will scan the condition of the patient, and then we have some modeling softwares which can help you to like design those prosthetics depending upon the condition of the patient, and then ultimately you can 3D print it with the help of different 3D printers available in the portfolio. So there are many softwares.
Shubham, the next question is again from Dr. Narayanan J. He's asked that if he needs to create a stiffness gradient on polymer using photo cross linking, what are the wavelengths available and what are the resolutions of printing?
Okay, so basically the wavelength of the resolutions is specifically available in those printers where there is a laser. So polyjet technology is different from the other 3D printing technology which is available in the market. So there are many, like 5 to 6 different technologies. So one is which comes with the laser, and there all those like K resolutions comes into picture. Ours is like comes in a layer thickness. So like you can print a 14 micron layer thickness with the help of our Stratasys 3D printing technology. So that is one thing. And if I talk about the DPI resolution, it is a 600 DPI which you can print with the Stratasys 3D printing technology, which is a polyjet based 3D printing.
Okay, the last question from Hariom Singh is could you discuss about the fabrication of the 3D printed parts using polyjet 3D printing technology?
Okay, so in my slide, I have shown the video of the workflow, how 3D printing works. So basically, what will happen? There are multiple print head in the machine. So let's say I'm talking about a machine which can mix seven model materials at a time, including the eighth support material. So what will happen? There will be a four print head in the machine with the combinations of multiple lasers, so multiple nozzles. So those nozzles number could be in the range of 1,000 to 1,200 nozzles within a four different printhead. So what will happen once you load those different seven materials into the machine? You just have to select in a software your anatomy, what kind of anatomy, and the level of stiffness or softness you are looking for. Then software automatically select all those material, mix in a certain ratio, and layer by layer it will print. Then it is a resin, so how it will get cured? Inside the machine you will get a UV light on both right and left side. So layer by layer, once your material will get jet from the printhead, a UV light will simultaneously cure those layer by layer, and ultimately you will get a physical model out of it. So this is the concept of how polyjet 3D printing works. Okay, so if no one has further questions, so we'll conclude this discussion, and we'll share you this slides document as well as further informations through email. Thank you.